And so now that we have that defined, we need to create an environment in which mental toughness can be exercised and ideally measured. So let me show you a little visual representation of how people act when bad things happen to them. Bad being against your preferences. And so you can follow along these little numbers that I have here, but this is the basic drawing of the context of how this works. So number one, this is how you normally act. Then a bad thing happens, sad face. This is how much you act out. The distance between these 2 points, when you act out and then you recover, is how long before you restabilize your behavior. How long does it take for you to get back to normal? Then, after that point, you have 2 alternatives. Or technically, I guess you have an infinite, but you can, in a good scenario, behave even better and even more aligned with your goals after that bad thing happens. You can have no change in behavior, so you were impervious to it, you got through, got back on track. Or you can permanently behave in a way that's stabilized, but worse. And so if we see that as the baseline model of behavior change, then we can begin to apply our framework of mental toughness to it. And so I'll begin with an obvious observation. I think that people mistakenly believe that mental toughness is only one thing. And looking at this model, I believe that there are 4 separate components that make up mental toughness. I also believe that they exist independently, and only when taken in aggregate can they give us a complete picture of someone's actual mental toughness. And so the 4 components are as follows. Number 1, tolerance. Number 2 is fortitude, and I'll define all of these. Number 3 is resilience. And number 4 is adaptability. This is what they look like, labeled in our fancy model. So we have our original little guy here. So here to here is tolerance. Here to here is fortitude. Here to here is resilience, and here to here is adaptability. Okay, so the first component of mental toughness in my model is tolerance. This is how much hardship, the number of hardships, or how long you can endure hardship before you have a change in behavior. This is before you snap. This is how long your fuse is. How much can you tolerate before you diverge from your normal behavior? And so if you're someone who has a long fuse, aka it takes a lot to rock your boat, you have high tolerance. Now, if you're someone who has a short fuse, anything can set you off, and you demonstrate low tolerance compared to the first example. It doesn't take much to get in your head to get you off your game. That's the first component. The second component of mental toughness is fortitude. So this is number 1, this is number 2. So fortitude is the intensity of the behavior change once your tolerance threshold has been surpassed. So think, how low did you go, or how upset did you get? I didn't even mean to rhyme both of those. That worked out well. So when something bad happens, do you take a deep breath, walk outside for 5 minutes, and then come back? If so, you have high fortitude. Or do you quit your job, get divorced, and get into hard drugs? If so, you have low tolerance compared to the high fortitude example. The third is resilience. After a change in behavior, so the behavior has changed here, right? After a change in behavior has occurred from a bad thing, how long does it take you to get back to a new baseline, to restabilize? Do you bounce back in 5 minutes? If so, you might have high resilience. Or do you bounce back in 5 years? If so, you have low resilience compared to the 5-minute person. As an aside, here's something that I think about a lot. In an instance where you have something terrible to happen, like death of a loved one, does the amount of time it takes you to recover have any bearing on how much you love that person? Said differently, do you need to suffer to prove your love? And if not, would any reasonable person want the person they love, And if not, would any reasonable person want the people they love to suffer? Probably not. Sorry. I actually didn't think it was going to go this way. Anyways, behavior. So, just something worth considering. So in other words, maybe you suffer as long as you decide is adequate. And if it's even partially true, then it means that you have some influence over how long you choose to suffer. Tolerance is how long, fortitude is how much, resilience is how long it takes to get back, and then number 4 is adaptability. So, how your new baseline compares to your old baseline, this distance here. In other words, are you better for the disruption? Are you permanently worse, or are you the same as you were before? This would be the same, this would be permanently better, this would be permanently worse if we went underneath. So, if you stabilize after a bad thing happens at a new higher baseline, then you have high adaptability. You let hard times beat the strength into you, not out of you. If you stabilize to your former baseline, just the same as you were before, after a bad thing happens, you have medium adaptability. You demonstrated that you didn't allow bad things to affect you. And if you stabilize below, which should be here, then the hard thing beat the strength out of you. Note, if the new baseline changes in either direction, positive or negative, then the experience traumatized you. In other words, you have a permanent change of behavior from an aversive, bad, stimuli, thing that happened. Now, if that behavior change is positive, then you got better from this traumatic experience. If it's against your long-term goals, then you got worse from it. But both outcomes, however, mean that you were traumatized. Like I said, you had a permanent change of behavior from a bad thing, aka you learned something different going forward. So this means that trauma, as it relates to us as individuals, rather than judging what happened to us, can be a force for good.